Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hard for Games channel. I'm Tony.
I'm John.
Today we are presenting HD remasters of some of our favorite episodes, the original Nintendo 64 DD series. These will be HD, better color, better visuals, and better sound than they were originally presented in the old YouTube days of 480p.
Yes, back when we were recording the HDV tapes.
Yes. And then at the end of all of these 5 episodes, you're going to have some commentary by us and also some never-before-seen bloopers. So, hope you all enjoy.
Not even by us.
No, we've never seen them because we didn't live it.
You know, in all these edits, Tony, you didn't, botch it and add a whole bunch of, dumb crap, dumb CG stuff?
Nothing we've ever done is dumb. Just kidding. We're hard for games.
Yeah.
The Nintendo 64 disk drive.
A thing of majesty.
A thing of glory. A thing we never got. Thank you, Nintendo. The disk drive was originally meant to compete with the Sony PlayStation. The PlayStation had CD-based media which heavily outweighed the cartridge in terms of storage space. So to compete with this, Nintendo developed a zip drive.
It's nice because, unlike optical discs, magnetic discs can still hold a decent amount, but they can read and write, which allowed the console to write things to the disc, something the PlayStation and the Saturn could not do at all.
No, sir.
There's only so much you could fit on a memory card, so you could change the whole world. It was great.
And in fact, Miyamoto, when talking about Zelda on the disk drive, was commenting that, unlike in the traditional Zelda experience where you cut down a bush, walk off the screen, come back in, the bush is there again, now if you cut down a bush, it'll be gone for the rest of the game. And this offered a lot of really interesting possibilities when the event is much more consequential than cutting down a bush.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. All right, well, without further ado, let's review Doshin the Giant and then move on to SimCIty. For our second part in this 2-part episode, we're going to do the F-Zero expansion pack and all the Mario Artist Studio games, there's 3 of them, for the disk drive system. Let's rock.
Ooh, some hearts.
So Doshin the Giant, you run around. Oh God,
What the hell is that?
There's this little dude who talks to you. There's also a disembodied female voice that you hear occasionally. I don't know what she says or what she's supposed to do. But basically, you go around helping villagers, and they consider you your god.
You had said earlier that you run around, but I would hardly call this running. Admittedly, you do get to go a little faster if you notice those hearts sort of showing up. Once you fill up the entire meter, Doshin will grow, and you'll move a little bit faster once he's bigger. But it takes a while to get to that point.
Oh, you're booking it now.
Yeah, I am.
Waddling it.
Alternately, if you're Jashin, the bad Doshin, and kill people, you'll get little skulls, which basically means you'll shrink, but you'll be slower. So essentially it's supposed to be kind of a balance between good and evil, but you might as well just get bigger because it's just a lot easier. Although it is fun to murder people. Oh, here's a monument, a pyramid that they built for us here.
It's getting bigger by the second.
That really kind of illustrates the draw distance pretty succinctly. Oh, yeah. I can see some of that thing.
Mm-hmm. However, when you look at the textures here, the textures are very high-res looking, to be honest.
They're pretty good for the 64.
They got decent resolution. I could stand to have a little bit more detail in the textures, but
yeah. So when Doshin does his little pimp walk thing, he can either bring up or bring down the land. And basically the disk drive keeps, you keep seeing the axis light going on because it's recording everything you're doing and keeping all the changes.
He's like, man, I have my own mountain now. Thank you, Doshin.
Maybe you should give him a little...
Doshin's just like, this is a nice mountain. Get the hell off it.
Alternately, he can hump the hell out of the ground.
Give that mountain some loving. Oh, look at my arms pulled clean out of its sockets. Oh yeah, look at my strange doodle hair. Yeah. I don't want this mountain anymore, so I'm just gonna crush it into the ground, just like that man's hopes and dreams and most of his bones. This is gonna be great. Just great.
In an N64 game, normally do you not have resolutions as high as this, but also they're untouchable. In Zelda, if you throw a bomb at a wall, unless that wall was meant to break, it stays the same. The textures do not alter in any way, shape, or form. But to be able to alter the textures, the bare basics of the world around you in this game, it kind of allows you to forgive the draw distance. John created a mountain, he created a lake, but we have a new creation for you. We actually created a little bit of an island.
Please take a close look at the northwest portion of the world map.
So you can create your own little world on the DD. And speaking of which, let's go on to SimCIty.
I can't wait to settle zoning disputes.
Mm-hmm. So one of the cool things about this game is that you can save up to 100 different cities. I mean, that's kind of insane for a console, you know?
I agree, and in addition to that, I'm surprised with how well the interface translates to the N64. A lot of times when you get games from the console going into, or rather from the PC onto the console, you get sort of this thing where like the mouse and keyboard controls don't translate all that well.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they did a really good job of allowing you to just open the menu with Z and get through the menus pretty easily. My only complaint is that the scrolling can kind of be a little bit imprecise with the analog stick.
Yeah.
So as you can see, we have this city in progress, complete with thousands of abandoned buildings.
Hey, it's Detroit. We're home.
Oh. So here's a character we call Dr. Japan. I think he's supposed to be like the financial advisor, but it's a little bit difficult to understand what he's saying because it's all in Japanese.
I'm assuming he's telling me to wreak havoc around the countryside, so... Oh man, he wants me to beat some punks up, I think.
Okay, I could see that. Maybe another police station is in order.
Alright, let's look for that punk.
What? You can walk around on the city?
Yeah, well, that's one of the new things about this version of the game. Before this game, you couldn't do any street-level wandering. You couldn't talk to any of the locals in the street. And all of the characters, as well as all of the vehicles, have their own AI, which is kind of neat. Also, you can view the city at night, which previously in other SimCities you couldn't do.
Mm-hmm. This is crazy.
Can you talk to that dog?
Ooh. Yeah, talk to the dog. The dog talks. Well then. Yep, it's Japanese.
A lot of people, and a lot of reviews that I've seen, have lambasted the 3D graphics engine of the street-level perspective of this game, which personally, I don't really understand.
I don't really get it either. I mean, no. These are not the most amazingly detailed buildings that I've seen in my life. But at the same time, when you consider the variety of structures they included in the game, the amount of draw distance you have when compared to Doshin, where your field of vision ends at your belly button, and the smoothness with which the engine runs, it's really not all that unimpressive at all.
Yeah, you know, if you go into a street-level view of this game, and you're like, oh man, this doesn't look as good as Perfect Dark. Well, guess what? Do you have 100 saves in Perfect Dark? You don't.
It's also a very different type of game. You sort of go into this game with sort of a different goal. I mean, Perfect Dark is very everything shoved right into your face because it's a first-person shooter. Mm-hmm. This is emulating a city, and Maxis has always sort of had a bit of a more cartoony thing. I mean, it's like judging a piece of art because it was made by the wrong person.
Yeah.
Not whether or not it's actually representative of what it should be.
If you've played SimCIty before, or if you have a basic understanding of shapes, you can kind of figure out the menu. For example, this is power, electrical lines, houses, kind of more urban development, commerce, etc.
At the same time, though, the information menus are not terribly good. Like, if I open up the budget, I can't really tell what any of these parameters are, but I can tell that we're losing a lot of money.
Yeah,
Oh my.
not so good at this game.
It's very hard to play a game in a non-native language. So our city has turned into a bit of a dump. Lots of abandoned buildings, and we're losing money really bad. So
Yeah.
we're gonna try and cover up our errors. John, can you enter the disaster engine?
Okay.
Whoa!
That doesn't look healthy.
Okay. Which one isn't fire?
Upper right.
And just in case there's anybody left in this great city of ours,
Volcano.
Yeah.
Just taking a stroll in my little city. Just going out for a nice big walk. Having fun. I'm going to go ahead and give SimCity an 8 because it doesn't have all the features of your average SimCity, but here's the thing. It added a lot of features we haven't seen on any of the others. So that's pretty cool. But Doshin with his like crazy walking and stuff like that, I don't know. He earned a special place in my heart. And a rating that can only be demonstrated as this.
Very good, sir. Hey, a special shout out to Zorgon. Zorgon sent us the majority of these games out of the kindness of his heart because he got them on eBay for his birthday, I believe. Sent them to complete internet strangers because he wanted to see a review of them, and that is fucking awesome. So, thank you so much, sir.
We are going to take good care of them forever.
I'm going to spend them on math.
Yeah, he is.
Don't put on your glasses like PlayStation wants you to. This drive is magnetic. Fuck, how does it work? I don't know. All together, they become hard. They're hardcore games.
The Nintendo 64 disk drive. A lot of you guys made a lot of really good points on our last video, and most of those points had to do with games that were just never released.
Mm-hmm.
So, in light of that, we'd like to show a little deleted scene from our last video that we feel is pretty relevant. And although Zelda Ocarina of Time was eventually released on a cartridge, it was still supposed to have an expansion pack, and some hackers have found some Game Shark codes that essentially let you see the disc icon when loading up Ocarina of Time. It looks a little something like this.
That's kind of cool. It ended up that it took so damn long to develop the thing, and it got so close to the GameCube's release. We know a lot of boys were going to buy that.
Oh,
that it forced it that not a lot of boys were going to buy the disc drive, so a whole bunch of people had to realize that they spent a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of money building things to go with these innovations, and then they had to spend a whole lot of time and a whole lot of money going backwards and going back to a cartridge. Isn't that just fun?
And we'll take a look at some of the literature of the time just to give you a sense of how much stuff Nintendo lost because of their delay with the disc drive. Dragon Warrior 7, which became the first Dragon Warrior game, did not be released on a Nintendo system because they had to port it for the PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Fire Emblem 64. Kirby 64. Mother 3.
Oh, we talked a lot about that one in the cocktails
I wanted
video.
that game.
An actual 3D Pokemon RPG for your N64. Super Mario 64 2. Or Zelda. I mean, come on. All of these high-profile games that we either completely missed out on or got half-assed versions of because of Nintendo's delay and, frankly, crappy release of the DD.
Hacked and slashed and put on a cartridge, if that. So, without further ado, let's check out the F-Zero X expansion kit. This is considered to be one of, if not the best games to come out on the disc drive.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that It's a beautiful soundtrack.
Such power.
Oh, yeah.
That
It really
gets
makes
you
me
ready.
want to touch my boobs.
Oh my. So this is basically F-Zero X. If you know anything about F-Zero X, it was a pretty popular game for the N64 to say the least. It had relatively sparse graphics, but it ran at a smooth, undeniable 60 frames per second, which was quite tasty. In addition to the tracks that you normally get, you get a few more tracks. So we'll do the time attack here. And you can see we also get DD Cup 1 and DD Cup 2. But more importantly, you get a ship editor and a course editor.
Sweet.
So let's check out the ship editor first here. So here we are. We're gonna load up the jam.
Ooh.
You said no.
Oh, okay. So still getting
No.
a little used to all this.
No.
Oh. all right. The jam.
There we go.
And then hype. Here we go.
Chocolate.
The jam. This is the car we made.
Oh.
Alter the body in any which way like this.
And by any which way, he really means pick from a few predetermined shapes.
Yeah, basically. And then you can put your little sticker on it, what have you. Which is all pretty neat, but honestly, it's not that powerful of an
It
editor.
is nothing in comparison.
The real deal is the track editor.
All right, since I've been screwing around with it a little bit, I'm going to be your course creator curator. Let's get into the course edit mode. We've got ourselves a little track already in progress here. As you can see, it's a pretty complicated design, and in fact, this track editor is really powerful. It's actually really close to the tool that the game designers themselves used to make the original game's tracks.
Which is very, very cool.
And we call this track here Wall Street.
Yeah, it's got a lot of banked turns, and all these banks are out to fuck you.
It's true. Why don't we demonstrate that?
3, 2, 1.
One.
Okay. Not cool. Somebody get a chance.
What?
Oh my!
I didn't complete the course, but I won.
I went through the wall of the tunnel!
You know, one weird thing about these disc games is that occasionally they get disc errors, kind of like how the Famicom disc system would get disc errors.
And how your high school project would always magically get lost on floppy disks.
Yes.
Yeah, like I have F-Zero X, and I can't load Port Town because it can't load the music, so I get an error.
Tony, I don't even think you need to worry. We can rebuild Port Town. We have the technology. Better than it was before.
Track editor.
Yes.
Nostalgia high five.
Oh, dude.
I had a dream of an open road with freedom's eagle flying high above. I saw high speeds and light.
A little bit like Port Town, right?
My trouble slipped away and turned to love.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah.
Face to face with bats of concrete. With my face stuck in a blue. Here I am. With a snarl on my face. I'm beaten up and broken down, and I don't know if I'll ever see this race. Dreams ain't easy, but I'm pushing myself to see if they can ever come true.
For when
Dreams
I
ain't
your ass.
easy, but I'll never give up until Port Town is next to Big Blue and is running wide.
Right.
All right, let's go.
Is everybody locked in?
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Let's go. Whoa. So good.
We should probably do that again.
Yeah.
Dreams ain't easy, but I'm pushing myself to see if they can
interestingly, when you hook it up to a disk drive, it gives you this error message, which I don't really understand. I don't read Japanese, but TJ, would you mind? TJ is a little Japanese, reads a little kanji, but...
Alright, let's get into this. Zelda Ura, Nintendo Incorporated, so, okay, at the top it says, Dear American consumers, as for Zelda Ura, you will never get to play it. Fuck you and die, Nintendo Incorporated.
All together, they become hard.
Wow, F-Zero X is one hell of a game for the DD.
Yes, it is.
Very tasty.
Let's move on, do something a little bit more creative, and touch upon the Mario Artist games.
Mario Artist, like, is that any relation at all to the SNES's Mario Paint?
It is, but I'd feel a little bit more comfortable if we left this explanation to an expert.
Oh, hi. Didn't notice you come in there. So, let's talk about Mario Artist, shall we? It was an interesting concept Nintendo had. They thought, what if we would give some creative tools to our community and see what they can do with it? And while only 4 discs came out, we were given the ability to paint, create polygons, and create talent. And then they gave us a 4th disc that let us put all of this talent and polygons and paint onto their RandNet internet service. And then your friends and your friends' friends and even the creepy stalker who just goes after you on Facebook, they could all download and look at your stuff. But this wasn't the whole thing. Half the project got canceled. They wanted you to be able to make your whole games. You'd be able to make your entire, just bespoke games and then put them on the internet. And then people could download them and play them. And imagine how happy that would make your stalker. But anyways, speaking of stalking, Tony, your sink is getting... Oh, peeing in the sink's the best. It's the best. Oh.
Wow, that was really informative. Thank you.
Very solid.
That's my cousin.
Let's move on to Mario Paint. So here are the options. You can do 2D stuff, movie stuff, I guess. Let's start off with the 3D modeling. It's kind of strange that this has this. You'd think it would be in like Polygon Studio, but it's all about putting textures on 3D models. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, go Toronto.
Whoa. And these models actually look very, very realistic. You don't actually see...
For the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, you don't see anything as detailed as this on the normal N64. Think about the dinosaurs in Turok. They don't look like this.
Yeah.
They look nothing like this. Oh, here we go. Now we can play around with the textures. So, bam.
Oh, yeah.
Now they look like the dinosaurs from
Like
Turok.
every dinosaur I've ever wanted to meet.
There we go. Now it's got herpes.
Yeah.
So here's the true paint feature in Mario Paint. And kind of interesting, you can do 1, 2, 3, or 4-player painting, which is kind of cool. TJ, you want to hit this up?
Now let's show our love for video games with a nice big heart. Okay, that's good. Now let's show them the length of the love we have. That's good. That's good. Now let's show them where our love comes to a point for video games. All right, now let's show the urethra. Good. You're doing good.
So one of the best features about the Mario Artist games was the ability to import media via the capture card.
You'll notice it's that guy right there.
Like Richie said, this guy right here.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, Tony, you're looking...
This is a lot of fun right here, but sadly it's about the most fun you can have with the game since the connectivity features are no longer available and weren't all that well implemented to begin with. There's really not much to do with the game other than draw funny words on your best friend's face.
Exactly, and that said, let's move on to Mario Polygon Studio. This is probably the most confusing menu I've ever seen in my entire life. And it's not just because it's in Japanese, but partially. most menus, it's like, okay, here's a symbol that represents something.
This makes no sense.
I mean, this is controller setup, but other than that, let's pick crown, I guess. All right, here. So I think we can throw in some different options. What? So.
Does it really have a child's head back there?
And then you can adjust the width of it, which is kind of cool. And then.
Oh yeah,
That's a car.
give
for
it some
me.
rims, Tony. I think that's race. Maybe.
Okay.
Either that or you just blew it up. Oh yeah,
There we
here
go.
it is.
This is a very nicely rendered.
I hope
view.
you're. Oh my goodness! Go Tony! Go Tony!
But
Go!
I have no control.
Go!
over it.
I said go!
So this game is actually known for having some like pre-WarioWare mini games in it.
What?
Well,
Nice.
Doing well this time, Tony. Oh my.
A lot of these games actually do appear in later WarioWare releases, but its relevance to the game is not all that clear. You can't really see the polygons that you create very clearly at all here.
yeah.
Let's clock in.
This seems to be more along the lines of where the Rio power comes in.
Yeah. Oh, what?
What? Why is
All right,
Toast
this is
talking
Toast
to
Quest.
us? Okay, there is a slice of toast talking to us.
So you can actually kind of play with the polygon you made, right?
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Whoa. What? There's a dinosaur on the side there now? This is extremely confusing.
What?
Oh, here we go.
Well,
Oh.
who needs Pilot Wings 64 too when you've got this?
Wow, this is actually kind of cool.
Indeed, the world is a little confusing, but this is fun.
Yeah.
That was a little mind-blowing, but I want something that won't truly destroy my brain. And for that, I'm going to go with this. It's called Mario Artist Talent Studio. Alright.
You can kind of create your own little character here. Very much a precursor to the Mii, except exceptionally more detailed.
I'm liking this. I think I'm gonna stay with that for right now. I think I'm gonna quick go in, see what sort of facial reconstructing can be done on the skull. Okay.
You're making Miss Piggy.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that actually does look like Miss Piggy.
But I don't know. Let's see what else there is.
Yes.
I don't think she deserves anything else.
Basically, you can take your creation here and watch a little video of them. And you can choose from a whole selection of videos.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's this. I think this is what this game was invented for. This right here. Oh, yeah. The attack of the 50-foot tall man baby.
Slash plant.
It's the mana tree. Oh, Tony. Look at you. Such a pretty princess there. Aww.
And look at this. Look at this in comparison to my Mii on my Nintendo Wii. This just blows it away regarding the detail, and it's on an N64.
Yeah, I really don't understand why Nintendo decided to scale back this sort of feature going forward with the tech level.
Yeah.
It's just totally bizarre.
Yeah. Here's one of the main functions of Mario Talent Studio is the animation. Polygon Studio, you can like set up your own polygons and kind of demo them. This, it's all about creating a me and then creating a little movie with them. So here we go, we can set our talent. Yeah.
You keep talking about it as if we've made any of the frames in this video.
Wait. Here it is.
Well, we can set the stuff in the background. Yes.
Oh, the handsome rogue is gonna save Tony from the plant monster.
Oh, jeez.
I will save you, cross-dresser.
Yes. So good.
You're
So
screwed,
good.
Tony. Totally screwed now.
Mario Artist, I mean, it's not terrible, but at the same time, it's complex enough that it takes a while to learn, but not powerful enough to create anything substantial, so I can't give it great marks.
Yeah.
Well, let's toast to the DD. All right.
No, wait, hang on a second. I have something to say. You might call me a little bit of a Nintendo fanboy. However, I'm still willing to admit when Nintendo has made a mistake. Financially speaking, I would probably say that the Virtual Boy was their biggest disaster. However, the Nintendo 64 disk drive was their most catastrophic error. Creatively, anyways. They were promising so much with the disk drive. Create your own avatar, your own level, your own world. Import the character into this game, into that game. Endless games with expansion packs. We kind of have stuff like that now with downloadable content, but it's not really quite the same. And in some games, you can create your own levels, for example, in Little Big Planet, but it's really just kind of remixing elements that are already there. With Mario Artist games, you're literally creating the content yourself. So it's like, we had these ideas back then, but we're only beginning to realize them now. It's like Nintendo tried to run a marathon with the disk drive, but they kind of showed up to the marathon late, and then only ran half of it, and then they just gave up.
Sad news, my friend. Now that you've blasphemed against Nintendo, no one can ever really love you.
Yeah, I'm taking this back.
God damn it.
Dreams ain't easy, especially when they ain't yours. Nintendo's got 'em locked past faraway shores. Who knows what could have been? What beautiful things are forever cast away.
So those were the episodes. We hope that you all enjoyed that blast from the past. And before the bloopers start, we thought we'd talk a little bit about our experience and process back in the day. I, for one, find it interesting that we are doing this retrospective as soon as my hair is actually the same length as it was.
It's just a joy being like,
Oh, yes. So one of the things that kind of surprised me, although I remembered it, but it kind of gone to the recesses of my mind, was the sort of melancholy ending where I lamented the demise of the DD as we shot in my parents' kitchen and then we had a dolly shot tracking in. It seems like that's kind of the only time in Hard for Games history we've like tried to get somewhere between serious and melodramatic.
yeah.
It was definitely melodramatic and silly, but it was still like
I think
more serious than we had been in the past.
I think it definitely sums up, like, after we did get to play all these games and like it removed a lot of the mystery, the mystique, because like back in that time you couldn't even emulate these games.
No. Totally a different era. I mean, this was 2010.
There's like this kind of sadness that you'd get after you'd play them all.
Yeah.
Because there is some real fun to have with it, But there's also this is all that it really ever got to be. All these things you read as a child, all the things that it was supposed to build into. And all it ended up doing was slowing a whole bunch of development for games, getting a whole bunch of games canceled, and just kind of robbing the Nintendo 64 of what it truly could have been. If they should have either just committed to it or just not done it.
Yeah.
And instead we got this horrible in-between, and it kind of leaves you kind of sad.
Instead of spending so much money on R&D with this, they could have just brought the N64 to market with upped RAM, like a RAM expansion built in, and other little things that the DD had that the cartridges could have done by themselves, because realistically they would have made less
an optical drive.
Yeah, I mean, because realistically they would have made less profit, but they spent so much money developing that it probably would have been equal anyways. But yeah, I mean, you're totally right. A lot of people, because we cover the DD so much, both currently and in the past, that a lot of people will reach out to us and be like, oh, I just got this, DD, because of you guys. And I always like it and give them positive response. But in my heart, I feel like I'm so sorry you wasted your money because of us. Because the DD is such a magnificent beast because of its promise, not because of its execution.
Although that F-Zero X expansion.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
if you have a DD, get that.
There is fun to be had, like
Japan
you mentioned.
Pro Golf Tour, real comfy. Problem, real expensive.
Sure. This series, this DD series, was kind of supposed to be the end of it, because a lot of the additional software that we covered in our follow-up, I think it was a 3-episode series, was either too expensive for us at the time or too insignificant. So for example, you had the Mario Artist communication disc.
Yeah,
which we ended up covering, but what were we going to say about it at the time?
Yeah.
And then you have Doshin 2, which was like a $500 game then. I can't imagine what it is at now.
Yeah.
And then there was the golf game, Japan Pro Golf Tour, or whatever it was. And
thank you, Johnny Bravo, for lending that to us.
Yes, thank you, Johnny Bravo. Which was, again, at the time, a $500 game when we covered it in 2012. It was so early and we were so young that we could hang out for 2 days straight, going through Nintendo Power magazine, looking up every reference to the 64 disc drive.
Yeah.
We could go through looking up all of these things and pre-plan
we
out.
could do that now. It's just Anna would kill you.
Well, the thing is different. We're all employed.
Because you actually have responsibility.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, I had way less responsibilities then. I was looking for employment, whereas now I'm employed plus 2 kids plus this. So it's we can't spend 3 days doing prep and then finally shoot. So you can kind of see that, and a lot of it is sort of pseudo scripted. Whereas with our content now, the humor is more so on the fly, riffing off each other, sort of like an improv sort of thing. Whereas then it was much more okay, and then now you're going to hit me here, and then we're going to beat you here, and then blah, blah, blah. It's it was much more pre-packaged, which I think some people like, some people didn't, maybe. I don't know.
I was happy that we didn't do as much sort of a character sort of thing, because that was really, really popular, because that was, we were, a couple of years after the Angry Video Game Nerd started, and there were a lot of people trying to copy that sort of thing at the time. Some quite successfully. There are a whole bunch that are kind of forgotten now that weren't as successful, but I'm happy that there's now such a large and wide variety of different types of content out there now. And I'm happy the Angry Video Game Nerd is still doing his thing. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm happy there's all this different stuff, but there was just tons and tons and tons of people just angry, yelling, swearing, but none of them were as good at putting an episode together as James Rolfe was.
Yeah.
So it was just, I don't know.
Yeah,
we were a lot of lazy hackery.
We were never really character. We were always slightly more exaggerated versions of ourselves. It's kind of how I always had thought about it. It was just slight, just ever so slightly, just not much, just a little bit, just to be a little bit more animated, that kind of thing. Another one of my favorite memories from this is that, again, back in the day, it was all about different platforms, right? So you had YouTube. And then we also uploaded to Screw Attack. And then we also uploaded to GameTrailers.com. And like they all had completely different requirements and different codecs.
One
and like
360p. This one does 480p.
I remember
this one allows 13-minute runtime.
Yeah, Game Trailers had a maximum of like it was like 100 or 200 megabytes. It was so you had to like crush like your videos to get on there. And some people did.
We should have uploaded all of our stuff to Atom Films.
Yeah, you know,
Rest
the thing,
in peace, Atom Films.
Our videos were just too long to function there, and we had done a couple that were like spotlit, which was cool, but it was mostly YouTube, and at the time Screw Attack, and I had always sort of idolized Screw Attack. You know, I loved.
They were the kings back then.
They were the kings. They were like the kings of indie content. Like I was so desperate to get noticed by them. And I remember we did our Don't Drink and Game episode, and that got picked up and put on the front page, and I was thrilled. And then I think the next one that got picked up was the F-Zero X review.
Yeah.
And I remember it got 6,000 and some views on Screw Attack, which was far more than it got on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And
that was decent views for the size we were given the time.
That was great views for the size we were given at the time. It's a shame that we couldn't just embed with YouTube because then we would have gotten more.
They did eventually do that, but it was kind of like it was a little late.
It was a little too late sort of thing. But, you know, again, every website had their proprietary format back then. You had like Channel Awesome, you had Screw Attack, you had everybody because YouTube had so many restrictions with copyright strikes that they
were real bad.
People tried to create different homes for videos, and they could also put their own ads.
Yeah, we used to have like YouTube videos that were basically, hey, our video is on this page. Like we were doing Got Game for a while, we were doing Screw Attack for a while. But like YouTube was just very punishing, but it was a great like hub.
Yeah.
It was like a nexus. But then eventually YouTube realized, oh, this is a terrible platform. This isn't how we should do this.
Yeah.
We should just have people here.
Yeah.
So they eventually started doing that.
I think they always wanted that, but their policies were always anti that. Regardless, we're getting off track. But like the whole thing about Screw Attack was that I'd always really like envied them, and I wanted to be a part of it. And when we had our F-Zero video at 6,000 some views, that had like blown away what was like the other like independent creator content that they had featured. Like the other featured content, like it had done far better, and it had done far better than anything we had ever done. We never got 6,000 views before. It was like insane. And like even like the founder Craig had like commented, and like you guys will always have a home here in the comments and such.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel so good. And I think partially because of that, and partially because of like the dumb little montage we did with the music, and Richie created a musical track for every episode. I really have great nostalgic memories of this series, both because of its success for us at the time. Again, we were very small and still are small, but also just because of the work that went into it, the planning, and how people reacted.
It was also just a genuinely magical time to be a creator on the internet.
I think we were one of the first groups to really bring Nintendo 64 disk drive content in video form to the internet. At the time, like you had mentioned, a lot of it was just like crappy phone, like recording your, like taking your camcorder, recording your TV sort of content, or
recording it to VHS, stuff like that, which we were doing for a little while.
Well, not quite. We were actually recording it to high 8.
Oh, right, high 8.
Well, digital 8, actually.
Yes, digital 8, but it was still, I think, a composite signal.
It was still a composite signal to digital 8. So
it's better than like, an extended play VHS.
Yeah, like it was at the time, that's the way you did it. Other creators were just recording the TV. So like actually having a video out to record to digital 8 was a reasonable, at the time, way to record. And the footage is definitely not as sharp as it would be today if we recorded it.
No.
But it for the time was relatively impressive, the amount of work we put into it.
Yeah.
John, I don't want to ramble on forever, but just some final memories and thoughts regarding this particular series of episodes. Not so much the era of Hard for Games, but like the series of episodes.
It was just so cool. Like I remember, I think you bought it while I was at college. And I remember just being so excited for being able to like come back and like actually try all of these games, because these were like just like unheard of rarities, just amazing, wild stuff. And nowadays it's like someone's like, oh, I've got this dev kit, and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
just send that over. Yeah, we'll take a look at it, and I'm just like immediately open it and just like look inside of it. When before it was just like, wow, this is a DD cart.
Yeah.
But I mean, now I work at a video game store, and people just bring all kinds of crazy stuff in all the time.
Yeah, I remember getting Doshin the Giant in the mail, and I remember I got it before the DD. I think I just got it
and I think
for the
I
sake
just
of getting
came
it
over just to look at it.
Yeah, you came over just to look at it, and I remember like looking at me like, wow, like, I can't believe I'm holding this. And although we rag on the DD for its execution and praise its promise, which we have always kind of done, there's just so much wonder about revisiting something that you were so excited for in your childhood and then get to see it as an adult. And actually hold it and touch it. And part of the reason why we did this initial series, and we still talk about the DD a lot today, is because we know a lot of you saw it in magazines or the Target brochure or whatever. And like, it's nice to be able to kind of give you a little piece of that and see what we, in the US and every other region other than Japan missed out on.
Also,
in
if
the DD.
you hadn't been born yet, a lot of you missed out on. You can open Wikipedia and be like, yes, there's a magnetic drive that would have held a ROM.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah. It would load through the, but it doesn't really. You miss out on what the experience was of just like every couple of months, like, oh, Nintendo Power mentioned it again.
Like,
they mentioned it again.
It's like, watching a Laserdisc nowadays, you're like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, it does look better than VHS. But if you watch a Laserdisc when it came out in like 78, anywhere between 78 and like
strap in, dude.
Like,
you're like, what the
whoa,
fuck?
When it came out, and realistically until they came out with a better competitor, which realistically was DVD, like through the early mid 90s, you were like, this is amazing. It's blowing my mind. It's just it's a perspective, and it's a perspective thing regarding when you experience the medium. That said, I hope that you've enjoyed us reminiscing, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the next and last section, the bloopers. And if you'd like to see more of these Hard for Games remasters, let us know which ones in the comments below.
I'm gonna punch you with my dick. I'm not gonna punch my dick. I'm gonna punch you with my dick. Oh,
jam. I got enough jam. You got enough jam? Okay.
I'm jammed out.
Jam
all right, we're
both
good.
ways,
We're good.
back and forth.
Ooh, I like that. The Nintendo 64 disk drive. A lot of guys out there, aside from buying the GameCube, I'm going to say that for later.
You know what you should say is, Nintendo 64 disk drive. A lot of boys didn't buy the disk drive.
A lot of boys
This is
didn't
part
even
of its
make
failure.
Alright, so this one we're going to be like, alright, and the next one we'll be like, yes. Alright, this is starting to look a little bit like Poor Town, right?
Yeah.
Give me a head nod here and head nod.
This could also most be a montage. Whoa.
Whoa!
He was flying on the sky
That's
for
gonna
a
need
second.
some editing.
I'm liking it. Oh, that is the money.
Alright, so now from that angle. So that was Doshin the Giant.
John, take the glasses off.
I noticed and I was gonna let it slide, but if you say so.
But basically, ultimately, the game doesn't really feel like it has that much direction. The objectives are kind of, oh, make the people happy, yay!
Continue.
Very, very classy. Sorry.
Continue.
There he is.
Oh,
Found
here
him.
we go. Here we go.
Okay, some like villagers and some things over here. So he seems to like the ocean quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he'd. They seem to be like, oh, I don't know. Oh, look at that! Look at how happy they are right now.
Oh, Blue doesn't look happy. I think he needs some discipline.
It's just like, I love you, Doshin. And I'm like, I love you too, little man. Let's go for a dive in the ocean. I'm gonna hold you and take you down to the deepest of the depths. And he's like, hey man, you can't do that. You're killing my ass. And I'm just like, I don't care. I am your god. What are you gonna do? I'm a big banana dick.
Alright, we're rolling.
One more time.
Alright, so let's imagine he's editing the track. Let's give it a come on. Oh, you'd be like, yes,
I don't have to
yes.
imagine.
You'd be like, give me a yes, yes, and I'll give him a little massage, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, you ready? So tense. Yeah. Come on. Come on! Yeah. Alright, let's do it once more.
You spilled water on me.
It's okay. Alright, let's do it again.
Cold-hearted bastard.
Come on. Come on. Yes! Yes!
Oh,
Yes!
I'm fucking feeling it.
That was awesome, John.
And then just kind of call him a little bit.
This is the pain of working with animals.
He was actually pretty good. I got some usable stuff for a minute.
This is a hamster. His name is Roberta. A lot of people bought one. A lot of boys bought the game.
This is actually a really cool looking shot.
I got him. Right? Yeah.
Come on, buddy, you can do it. Go in a straight line for us, huh?
Whoa, jeez.
Oh, that's a touch tight there.
TJ, you know you shouldn't be over here. What is it, hard 4 games? You shouldn't be over here.
Just translate this for us, please.
All right. Let's see. So it's a Zelda Ura. That makes sense. And then Nintendo incorporated on the bottom there, and then. All right. So, dear honorable American consumers, as for Zelda Ura, you will never be able to play this game. Fuck you and die. Ha 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 ha. Nintendo Incorporated. That's kind of harsh.
That's mean.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I guess let's start off here with.